want to chat about a topic that I kind of had some clarity on recently. I'm going to share that with you. I think the older that I get, the wiser that I become, or at least that's what my white hairs are allowing me to believe. Yeah, I'm chemically dependent, and that's on hair dye, friends, but whatever. Listen, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and I feel like we've had this same exact conversation, and we've been going back and forth on this one particular issue, on whether this issue was right or whether this issue was wrong. So we've gone around and around on the carousel. We've discussed on whether or not something was right, on whether or not something was wrong, on whether or not something felt right, or whether or not something felt wrong, or whether or not something was right or was wrong. And in the moment of this, it's almost as if I had a moment of clarity. Instead of arguing and splitting hairs and talking about, theological issues on whether or not something was okay, I had this moment of clarity. I think a better question to ask of whether it's right or wrong on these small issues, why don't we ask a better question? Is it wise? Now, in the midst of our discussion, I realized that we can sit here and split hairs all day, every day on whether or not one particular thing is right or wrong. But I think a great question to ask is it wise? So, for example, am I free to go to a club every weekend? I love dancing. I'm, half Puerto Rican, half Mexican. It's in my DNA. I came out of the womb with high heels and lots of rhythm. I love to dance. But is it wise for me to go to a club every weekend? I mean, is it allowed for me to go? Absolutely. Is it okay for me to go? Yeah, that's not a sin. The Bible's silent on whether or not you hit up the club on the weekend. I think a better question for me to ask is it wise? Is it wise for an example that I'm setting for the kids? Or is it a stumbling block to somebody else? Am I going to be put in a situation, a compromising situation for me to make some poor choices? So as we begin to ask ourselves, is this wise? It removes the issue of whether it's right or wrong. I love how King Solomon, when the Lord asked him to ask for what he wanted, he didn't ask for power or prestige. He asked for wisdom. And God is so good. God is so faithful. He asked for wisdom, and God loved what he asked for, that he ended up giving him power and prestige and influence and affluence and wherewithal because he asked for this key thing, wisdom. So as we go through our week, I want us to begin to ask some great questions. We could avoid so much conflict. We can avoid arguments if we kind of move above the issue of whether this is right or wrong and just begin to ask, is it wise? Check out what Proverbs says. Proverbs 19:8. The one who gets wisdom loves life. The one who cherishes understanding will soon prosper. So prosper, my friends. Do you, but be wise in doing you. Have a great week.